I think that these are some of the strongest instructional design portfolio projects that you can create this year, because now instructional designers can combine Storyline 360 with AI interactions like this, and with simulation design skills, all in a single project. So we're going to take a look at each of these projects in more depth. But before we dive into them, because I'm going to spend some time on them, I'll talk about what's working and how you can apply it to your own portfolio. But I want to mention a recommendation I was giving about a year ago. So as a first AI portfolio project, I was telling people to create custom GPTs, because you get a nice user-friendly editor like this, where you can give the custom GPT some instructions, you can make it role play as a different character, and you can test it out. And then your learners can open it up, and it essentially looks like you're talking to ChatGPT, but it is an AI-powered scenario. So in this one, we are hosting a kickoff call, right? We could send a custom message and get a dynamic response. And this was helping people get hired, right? It was a really accessible portfolio project to create, but there was no way to bring this into e-learning authoring tools like Articulate Storyline. And hiring managers obviously need to see that you can still use the industry standard authoring tools that their teams are using. So these projects were great, but you always needed at least 2 projects, right? You needed a flagship project that showed off your storyline skills, and you needed, or you didn't need, but having an AI project like this, a custom GPT, was a big help at showing that you have that AI readiness. So now you can combine both. So you can combine these AI interactions into a storyline experience. So this is an e-learning experience built by Sabrina Gonzalez on our team. And we still have this nice cinematic intro where we can observe these different employees doing their job, talking to these customers at this retail shop. So the idea here is that we are a supervisor, and we're going to have some performance conversations, some one-on-ones with this underperforming employee. So let's observe Jordan here. And we can see that this couple is new to camping. They want to find a good beginner stove. Jordan says, "That's cool. There are lots to choose from. Take your pick." And then he just walks away and leaves them to figure it out on their own. So we can see a little bit about what's going on here. As the supervisor, we're going to want to step in and handle this conversation with care. So Jordan used to be one of the most engaged associates, but now his energy and engagement have changed. We're going to have 2 meetings. So the first one will be to find out what's changed. The second one will be to work together and create an action plan. And we want to, of course, handle these conversations with care. So again, all of this built in Storyline 360, these nice AI-generated visuals and videos. Now we have some notes to review, so we can get a little bit more context before we go into this conversation. And we can see our goals. We need to get Jordan talking about how things have been going at work, ask about what he's been interested in, and figure out what's changed. So we want to open the door to conversation, right? We're not trying to force any changes right now. We just want to have a better understanding of what changed so that we can better support Jordan. So here we are, we're in the office. We have this option to view those notes again if we need to. So, and then Jordan says, "Thanks for grabbing time with me. What did you want to talk about?" "Hey, Jordan, how have things been going at work?" Let's just follow that suggestion in the notes and see Jordan's pose can change, right? It changes based on how the conversation is going. Jordan says, "Yeah, nothing's really wrong. It's been pretty regular lately." And so, right, it's our job to get Jordan to open up and learn more about what he's been interested in. Ah, okay. Anything you're particularly interested in? So you can see it's going to be a bit challenging. Okay, rock climbing. Ah, rock climbing is great. How long have you been doing that? So we're trying to establish some rapport with Jordan. Again, get him a bit more comfortable. Okay, here we go. Jordan's a little bit happier now, right? We can see that he's a bit more passionate about rock climbing. And then again, once we wrap up this conversation, there will be a second one-on-one where we create an action plan together with Jordan to help him be a bit more engaged at work and do a better job. So you can see how incorporating a dynamic conversation like this into a storyline course can be a lot more effective at helping someone do their job better, as opposed to just having them select from different multiple choice options. So in the past, for people to do this, to incorporate AI into a storyline course like this, it would take them months of development work, especially if they're starting from scratch, which most instructional designers are. So yeah, it would be learning JavaScript, right? Learning how to use servers or serverless functions, working with API keys, a lot of, again, stuff that's in the developer wheelhouse, but not a lot of instructional designers are comfortable with. So now it's a lot easier to create these, right? You build a storyline course just like you normally would, but then with this new Devlin.ai simulation builder tool, you can just describe the simulation in plain English. So here are the actual settings for this conversation we were just witnessing. Again, we could make it a real-time voice conversation, but it's text-based for now. And we can describe the character. We can give it the character instructions, right? We can describe the behavior triggers. And then we can also say when to change those storyline variables. So you get to just explain it in plain English. You don't have to actually code anything or do any advanced development work. And then when you're ready to bring it into your course, you just embed it as a web object. So you copy the URL and just drop it in storyline right onto a slide like this. So this is something that everyone watching this video can do, right? You don't need any developer skills beyond knowing how to develop in storyline. So yeah, this is much more accessible now. It creates this new category of storyline portfolio project because it's showing that you can use these traditional authoring tools that hiring managers want to see experience with, and that you can extend them using some of this more modern AI technology and design a better learning experience as a result. So a lot of you may have already seen this project also by Sabrina, and it's essentially a detective simulation, right? So there was an art heist and we need to interrogate these two characters. So on its surface, it's about interrogating people, but a bit deeper, it's about critical thinking, asking good questions, attention to detail, bias, all of that good stuff. So let's talk to Julian first. And again, you may have seen this. Julian says, "Are you the fancy detective on the case?" "I sure am." "What were you painting on the day of the heist?" "I wasn't painting anything. I was doing touch-ups." "What supplies were you using to do the touch-ups?" And I've done this one several times, so I have an idea of where to go here. So when we uncover certain pieces of information in the interrogation, later on in an evaluation screen, when we're having to actually make our decision about who we think committed this crime, we'll be able to see different pieces of that evidence and get different insights about it because of how Sabrina developed this. So as we're having these conversations, storyline variables are tracking what we've uncovered and what we haven't uncovered so that we can see that evidence later on to make a better choice. So yeah, it's interesting seeing the different ways that you can handle these variable changes in storyline. So no two projects are going to look the same here. But here is another similar one to the one that Sabrina developed. We can play it from the top. This one is built by Yahida. She's in Peck Academy. She's been doing some really impressive AI and AI simulation work. And so this is a supporting project that she put together. So similar experience to the one that we just saw with Sabrina. It's a leader responding to an employee who is having a hard time. So now we see this employee. They're not feeling very happy, as we can tell. And some moments test us as a leader. So we're out of office for the day, and a concerned colleague reaches out telling us that Mira seems upset today. We've noticed the signs before, the stress, the withdrawal, and now the office is starting to notice too. It hasn't been easy for Mira to say something. So now our phone lights up. Mira is reaching out to us. So we want to check in with her and see if she'll let us in on what's going on. We have 10 chances to respond, and we can get some help if we need it. Okay, we have another little cutscene, again, just to add to the immersion. We can see Mira reaching out to us. And now we've received that text, and we're going to have to respond. So Mira says, "Do you have a minute? I'm sorry to bother you, but I need to leave for the day." "Oh no. Can you tell me more about what's going on?" And again, Mira is really guarded, really doesn't want to open up, but it's our job to be emotionally intelligent and help help figure out what's going on so that we can help her recover or help her get back to being herself at the office. So this one is tough, right? It's very realistic. I'm just a little off today, probably just tired. I'll be fine by tomorrow. Is anything, why are you feeling off? I'd be happy to help if I can. And no worries, right? Feel free to head out. And I'm going to share the links to all of these projects in the description. So if you want to try these, feel free. But you can see the character's pose changed after that first message. And again, as she opens up, she might start crying in the e-learning experience as well, just feeling touched by our attunement to her. So feel free to try this one out. And I also want to show you a voice one. So this is one of the very first simulations anyone built on the platform. Yahida built this one as well. She was at these AI workshops we do every week inside of Peck Academy, and she was really pushing this tool forward early on. So it was pretty cool seeing her build this initially as a text-based simulation, and then she incorporated voice mode into it as well. So let's see how we do here. And this one is, well, you'll see.
Hi there. Meet Max. Today, you'll be working with him to practice a foundational skill, teaching him to sit. Speak to Max through the chat when you're ready to get started. As you train Max, tell me what you're doing, like how you're using a treat or moving your hand, so I can give you the best feedback.
Hi, Max, who's a good boy. Go ahead and sit. I'm waving my hands all over.
Max is pretty distracted by all that hand movement. He's bouncing around and not quite sure what to focus on. It might be worth thinking about how your body language and hands could work for you, rather than against you in moments like this.
Okay, Max, here's a treat. I take out a treat, put my hand parallel with the ground, and start moving it down towards the ground over and over.
Max is sniffing at that treat with interest, which is a good sign. You've got his attention. The repeated motion is keeping him a little unsure of what you're looking for from him, so a more deliberate single movement might help him understand what you're asking.
I put the treat around Max's face, and then I slowly raise it until his butt touches the ground, and then when it does, I say sit, and then I give him the treat.
Oh, that was a nice moment. When you guided the treat up and back over his head, his bottom just naturally went right down, and marking it with sit right as it happened was perfect timing. Max is looking pretty pleased with himself right now.
So there we go. It will evaluate our performance. We should get some feedback. I doubt I did super well considering how I opened that scenario, but we did get there in the end. So let's see once the feedback loads. Just because this one was nice and short, I could show you what that feedback looks like. We can see how we did. And there we go. We got a 51. And then it gives some really in-depth feedback there as well. So there we have it. There are 4 of these projects built with the simulation builder. Again, you can build a simulation first draft in an afternoon now instead of needing to learn how to develop for months to incorporate this into Storyline. And these projects show something that other projects really don't, right? So it shows off instructional design thinking, scenario design skills, and prompt engineering and AI readiness, which a lot of Storyline courses miss because they're maybe incorporates AI visuals at most, but also Storyline 360 and multimedia development skills, user experience thinking, performance-based learning design, especially, right? It was great designing all of these scenarios in the past with these different, with the branching and the different multiple choice options and see the consequences based on what you do, because that was as far as we could push the tool back in the day. But now with tools like this, with how easy it is to incorporate AI into these learning experiences, we can help our learners perform a lot better because they can practice the same skills that they'll need to use on the job, not just that decision making where you pick between some multiple choice options. And then business acumen also in the write-ups. So in the write-ups, when we talk about the metrics we're trying to improve and the performance problems we're trying to solve with these performance-based solutions, all of this signals to hiring managers that you are ready for the job. And not just that you're ready for what the org is currently doing, but that you are ready to push the org forward. Because I have been on a lot of conversations with hiring managers, learning leaders, directors, senior IDs, and everyone I'm talking to is working on something like this, right? They're trying to incorporate scenarios, AI-powered scenarios and role-playing into their learning experiences. A lot of them haven't really figured out exactly how to do that yet. They know it's possible and they want to do it. So if they're looking at your portfolio and they can see that you've solved that problem and you do know how to build comprehensive learning solutions like that, that is going to put you in another category of applicant than people who are still showing the static storyline courses or maybe some disjointed AI experiences. So I have a strong hypothesis that people who can show this off are going to do very well in the current hiring market. And that is also why we're going all in on this in Peck Academy. So as you may or may not know, I do run a licensed career school where we help people become instructional designers and create strong portfolios. And we ditched our previous flagship process approach. Well, I shouldn't say ditched, we're evolving it. So again, instead of those multiple choice questions, we are integrating these AI-powered simulations into every project, every flagship project, kind of like the ones you saw by Sabrina. So people in Peck Academy do get free access to the simulation builder tool for a year with a ton of credits, more than enough for a lot of portfolio traffic. Weekly AI workshops with me where we work on the projects together. I give you feedback. We help you come up with ideas. And then also you work with me and my team to get in-depth feedback on your instructional design process, your projects, your portfolio, a ton of content. You can check it out. And also I'm mentioning this because we're doing our big summer cohort and applications for it close tomorrow or Wednesday. So priority apps close on Wednesday. The full applications close on Friday. And you can visit peckacademy.com if you'd like to apply. But it's a really exciting time inside of the academy and in the industry in general right now, just because of what is possible with these new tools. So if you want our help, my team and I would love to work with you. Again, just try to get your application in before tomorrow at midnight if you know you want to join. Thanks for making it to the end of this video, and I will see you in the next one.